Sir David the Bard. My camera. Allison. Allison. Jesus. Sir David the Bard. Black shirt. No brain as usual. I'm coming to you from General Conference. You bastards, when you write in that I haven't recorded in 3 or 4 days, you make me feel guilty as hell. It is spring break. I'm playing with my kids. And I bought another car. My wife is still dancing in the Indian reservation style in the living room. Mercy is pissed at the Bard. Oh well, I got it in my own name, folks. It's the first damn thing on my credit I could buy in 30 years. No woman's gonna dance me out of this. Alright, I'm coming to you from General Conference, and, shit. It's as boring as it was when I was 12 years old. Guilt, 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 cult, 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 bullshit, bullshit. Anyway, I wanted to do a video. Now, I know some of you are going to be upset. In fact, most of you are upset all the time. Do I care? The Bard don't care. Here's what I want to do a video on, and I hope I do it justice. The attraction of men and women to each other, and their decision to spend monogamy for the rest of their lives with this other person. Now, I've been married 6 times. It ain't enough! Do I know women? No. Do I know certain sections of women? Yes. Anyway, with 14 kids, I had no problem knowing women a little bit. Anyway, here's what I want to say. And this is my old age, and I can say whatever I want. When we look at each other, and there is an attraction, I don't know what the hell that attraction is. I've been married to 6 girls, and my first wife, now, they're going to kill me. They've tried to kill me several times. That's why I'm hiding at General Conference under one of the pews in the back. My first wife was blonde and blue-eyed. I met her at BYU, and the thing that attracted me to her is that she was the dance partner of the teacher of ballroom dance. I really admired her for that. She knew how to ballroom dance extremely well, and there were hundreds, if not thousands, of people that thought she was hot. Well, I wanted to learn how to dance. Now, the Bard ain't smart when it comes to dating. I thought if you dated a woman, you had to marry her. What an ass. What an ass. Anyway, Janice was an attractive girl, and she came from a small town down in southern Utah. I won't name her town because you can track her down. And she came from a good family. And they milk cows, and I don't know if they liked me or not. I don't think the mother ever liked me. But anyway, let me get on the subject here. When I looked at her, I didn't feel a strong sexual or electronic attraction. I thought, you know, she seems to be fine. She's appropriate. And I was forced to get married early because I didn't want to go on a mission and live with the homosexuals and knock on people's door that didn't want me there. So the only way I could prove that I was worthy and that the reason I wasn't going on a mission wasn't because Mr. a general jumped out of his pants, I got married in the temple down in Manti. Now, Janice was a good wife. We had 2 kids, Michelle and Nicole. And she worked hard at Dee's restaurant to help support me through college. I worked full-time to support me through college. And she was a good mother and a faithful person. Now, here's what I'm trying to tell you. When we look with our eyes at another human being, we think we see them. We think that we're going to be able to tolerate any imperfections that we may not be able to see. That could be mental, physical, emotional, etc. Well, I tried to educate Janice, and I took her all over the United States, and we went to the Empire State Building in New York. I was trying to get the girl on the same page. I was from California, and Disneyland was in my blood, and the Beach Boys. Well, anyway, we went to the Empire State Building, and we crowded in the elevator with, I don't know, 50 people. There's several elevators there. And, of course, we all turned around and looked to the front. Janice didn't. Jesus. My wife is looking in the face of all the other people. Now, what do? The ride is 10 minutes to go up there. Do you turn around and say, wife, with rocks in your head, turn around? Can't you see 50 people looking at the door? I don't know what to do. So anyway, she rode all the way up to the Empire State Building, looking backwards. That's an example. That's an example. We didn't have much in common. And well, to tell you the truth, I was teaching dance, Latin American dance at BYU. And I went through several thousand girls in my classes, and none of them attract me. I'm not really attracted very much to too many girls, but one little girl, Betty, she was a freshman, and she attracted me. She was as cute as hell, and she thought I walked on water, which I did. I ran very fast on pool water, but I would go down under. Anyway, I got a little bit involved with Betty, and we didn't have intercourse, but she didn't know what intercourse was. So anyway, that basically broke my marriage up with Janice. And I'm not proud of that. I'm not laughing about that. I feel guilty about that. And I never did it again. All my other wives I've been 100% faithful to, other than my two girlfriends here. Shit, I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail, the Bard at Point of the Mountain. Anyway. Here's the problem, I find. Now, this is just my opinion. You have your own opinion. You're very welcome to write on here and say what your opinion is. When you don't live with a person, you don't know how well they clean house. You don't know how well they cook. You don't know how they're going to discipline your children, because the children aren't born yet. You don't know how they're going to age. You don't know what they look like naked. You don't know how they screw. Are they compatible? Are you going to fit together, or are they going to, have one intercourse and then roll over in bed for 35 years? You don't know. It's like going to the Mormon temple. They say you're going to take upon yourself many new obligations here, and if you don't want to, now's the time to say something. And I always would try to raise my hand and go, well, what are the obligations? How can I make an informed decision? But they go, shut up, Bard. Shut up. We're a cult. Sit your ass down. And I would. I'd bow my head and say yes. 50-some years. Well, anyway, the next point, the next girl I married, I'm trying to think. Oh, Janet. Janet. Now, Janet was my high school sweetheart, but she wasn't a member of the church, and my dad was a fanatic, and he wouldn't have me ever marry anybody who's not a member of the church. Now, from the very moment I saw Janet in 7th grade, there was an electricity, there was a draw to her I've never had before or since with anybody. I wanted that girl 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and she wanted me 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. Sunday you take off when you're a Mormon. That girl I loved to dance with. She used to dance in chiffon, and we did a lot of ballroom dancing at fancy clubs and, the Holiday Inn and whatever. That girl was fabulous. Now, sexually, that girl was fabulous. It took me 10 or 15 years to get over that wife. Some of the others, I was over in 10 or 15 days, sorry to say. But Janice was so conservative and so inexperienced and so guilty from the Mormon church. You know, you could paint boobs on a board, and you know, she wouldn't have to show up. So anyway, I didn't know that. I couldn't tell that. The Mormon church wouldn't let me try it out. It's like buying a car. I bought a new car the other day. Not a new one, an older car, but new to me. And I didn't drive it like I usually do. And then I felt really guilty after I signed all the papers and thought, did I screw up here or what? I didn't. I didn't. Thank goodness. The atheist God. Anyway, Janice was terrible. Naked. Terrible. In bed. Terrible, terrible. Now, when she's dressed and her hair's all done and she's up at BYU and you know, playing around, you know, she was an attractive girl. Well, I got taken in on that deal, and that cost me 2 children and child support for 18 years because I couldn't test drive the car. Well, Janet, my second wife, I knew her family a little bit, and I knew her. We dated in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And then when I divorced Janice, I went back to California, and she came and lived with me. We were not married. And I was still teaching at BYU, and I was still a junior at BYU. And we lived up there in the Cedar Crest Apartments, and she was hot. From the moment I have ever seen that girl, we could not keep our hands off of each other. There was just an electricity there that I've never felt before or since, like I just said. And many of you have never felt it. And some of you maybe have felt it more than once. Janet was hot because she had sexual experience. In high school and out of high school, she had a baby. My Monica, you know, I adopted. And that was her child. And so there I didn't get ripped. I didn't get ripped because I got lucky. That's all. That's all. When I lived with her, then I could see this is going to work. And that's when I married her. And I personally think that's the way it should be. People are very, very different once you get to know them. Now, my third wife, who was that? Oh, Jeannie. Jeannie was a cheerleader. She makes me always say, head cheerleader. After I got to know Jeannie, I knew what she meant by head cheerleader in high school. From 11th grade until after her mission, she screwed every day the football team. Well, the girl had experience. And when I hooked up with her, she was cute as hell. She was young. And Jeannie was a good sex partner. Jeannie and I were not as good as Janet, but we were better than everybody else. So Janet had, you know, the blue ribbon. Jeannie had, I don't know what it is. Is it the brown ribbon? Is it the blue ribbon? I don't know. Well, it was Janet, then it was Jeannie, then it was Janice. She got 3rd place up to this point. Now, they're all vying for 1st place. Some of them just didn't have it. I'm sorry. We just didn't fit together. Whose fault is that? That's not my fault. It's not her fault. I remember my first night with Janice. We went to the Hotel Utah for our honeymoon night. And I was a virgin, and she was a virgin, and that was a joke. It was like 2 old fish dying out of the water, trying to swim back to the water. I go, God dang, is this what it's all about? And she was so aggressive, I didn't believe Mormon girls could be that way. Anyway. Then we go on from Jeannie to Carolyn. There's a work of art. I call her the Green Lady. Go down and look at one of my old videos. Carolyn was mentally ill, which I didn't know. She kept that hidden very, very well. But when she painted herself green and wore a Bowie knife to bed, even the bard goes, what the hell? So anyway, I didn't know she was a prostitute before I married her. God, I've had nothing but prostitutes, mental patients, and cheerleaders that were the head cheerleaders. So anyway, she wasn't that great in bed. She thought she was, but she wasn't. And when she painted herself green and chased my brother, who lived across the street, around with the Bowie knife, I took the kids and got the hell out of there. I got the hell out of Dodge. Well, she and I had Rebecca, and I don't know, Rebecca's probably 28 now. But anyway, then I had Sandra. Jesus, I'm so embarrassed. Sandra was a mental patient. I didn't know that. And when she kept telling me she was a survivor of satanic ritual abuse, I couldn't even spell those words. And I had a master's degree. Well, she had a master's degree too, so you have two dumb people who went to college that don't know shit. Well, anyway, Sandra, I didn't know, was a lesbian. I had the wrong equipment. She wanted a baby, so she borrowed my penis once. Rebecca was born 9 months later. The bard's pretty potent. My Janet used to say she walked around the bed and never got in, and she always got pregnant because I was chasing her ass and throwing her on the ground. Anyway, I didn't know that, you know, Sandra was an idiot. She was a lesbian. I wasn't allowed to talk to her family, and I didn't even think that was suspicious. She had accused her father of molestation and destroyed that family, and her counselor of molestation, and the bishops and all of her boyfriends and all of her, and then she was going to accuse me, and the bard don't roll that way. I'm out of here. So I left before she could do that. Well, then I ended up with Mercy. Now, Mercy's she's probably my best wife. She's probably my best wife. She's sweet as hell. She's devoted. She doesn't believe in betrayal. They don't divorce in the Philippines. And because she's my current wife, I'm not going to go into our sexual life because I love her. The others I don't love, and they don't love me. Now, here's the point. There are some things that are important to each person. To me, I love a girl's eyes and her teeth. She has like Marie Osmond. I mean, Marie could have me any day. Sorry, Merce. Her eyes and her teeth, and I do like long hair, dark eyes, and dark hair. That's just my preference. Now, I have other preferences. Jeannie, my wife, had boobs as big as a freight train. I didn't like that. She was always rash underneath her boobs, and every time I walked in somewhere, her boobs arrived like 2 minutes before we did. I don't like big boobs. Yeah. I took them, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out. I like little boobs. So if the girl doesn't have little boobs, I'm not real interested. And if she doesn't have a beautiful teeth and smile, I'm generally not interested. And, you know, the blue eyes or the black eyes. Janet had hazel eyes. But anyway, I like them to have some rhythm, know how to dance. I don't know if any of you have seen that Seinfeld show where... what's her name? Damn it, goes right through my head. Elaine was dancing. Oh, shit. I wouldn't marry Elaine, but what if I married her before I saw her dance? Now, I'll tell you something else. As an anatomical person, whatever that is, some penises and some vaginas don't fit together very well at all. Some girls are tipped and tilted, and some boys... I don't know if they're tipped and tilted, but when you try to put those two things together, you know, they're screaming and yelling, and it ain't an orgasm. How do you know that? Sex from 20 till 45 or 50 is probably 30% of your life. And here's 30% of a person that you married, or more, that doesn't want to have sex, or it's painful, or once she has 2 or 3 kids, you know, the little general is in retirement. You didn't know that when you married her. That's why men go, hey, let's go get somebody else and see if the penis fits better. And sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. Everybody thinks it's the same. In the Mormon church, once they get that ring on their finger, that's it. You ain't going nowhere, and she's in charge of your weenie. Well, sometimes, but not all the time. So here's what I'm saying. For me, in my old age, if my daughters wanted to live with someone first, I'm going to accept that. And I'm going to say to them, experiment. See how they clean the house. See how they have sex. See how their values with children and how they treat you. Don't just get all googly-eyed and you know, put on your garments and jump off a roof and catch her on a train and screw her brains out on top of the train. That ain't gonna work. You know, she might be the most beautiful cheerleader, the most piano player, harp player, everything. But when you get her down on the ground, she doesn't know anything, and she doesn't want to know anything. So we all live with it. Women, you do the same thing. You think he's sweet and gentle and kind. Pretty soon you find out, you know, his weenie is all over town. He's spending money on other girls. He doesn't come home and watch the kids at all. He doesn't help clean up. He's rough to you, sometimes abusive to you. We just don't know these human beings. And the divorce, I think, was a good idea. Is it better for a child to live in a broken home or come from a broken home? I'm going to say come from a broken home, because when there's that screaming and yelling and kids are crying, doors are slamming and people are leaving, kids are just terrified. So, anyway, the Bard has had his ability to have counseling here. Just remember, not all vaginas are alike. That's a summary of my story. And not all penises are alike. And you've got to realize those are just two physical characteristics. The brains that run those two sex organs can be very, very different. And, you know, sometimes you can go around maybe, you know, a sex organ that you're not crazy about because the person, you know, screams like they're on fire, and that excites you, and you go, hey, you know, I'll go ahead and take the sex organ. So how they treat you, what they say, that can overcome some of these things. But if you don't have some extra money in the bank that way, some emotional money, you know, you're going to look at that and go, holy shit. You know, and she's going to look at that and go, you call that a penis? So anyway, you basically have health in the navel, marrow in the bones, strength in the loins, and in the sinews. That's what I'm talking about, in the sinews. Power in the priesthood be upon me and upon my posterity through all generations of time and throughout eternity. The Bard's gone. I'll be back.